All right, this is going to be a short video on what the left and the right agree on according to the subreddit r slash conservative. R slash conservative is the largest conservative subreddit on the website Reddit itself. You can see they have around 1.2 million subscribers. I think they are one of the largest online spaces in general for conservatives. I know Truth Social has about 2 million active users, so r slash conservative is smaller, but I like Reddit more than Truth Social just because of the format of the website. I think Reddit is a lot better for discussion compared to Truth Social. I am just a lurker on this subreddit. I do not have flair. I do not comment. I do not, like or dislike, as well. I don't believe in, pretending to be a conservative on here and just liking and disliking stuff because I think people can see through it on this subreddit. They call it astroturfing when you pretend to be a conservative, and they will check your account history. And so then I'm worried that that just leads to people leaving here and going to Truth Social. So I think it's good for conservatives to just have their own online space for themselves. But the good part about r slash conservatives, they did start this new thing about 3 weeks ago called the Left versus Right Battle Royale Open Threads. So you can see this on the screen. The bold sentences say this is an open discussion thread for all Redditors, meaning leftists, conservative, independents, libertarians, people not even in the US, anybody. And I like this thread, or I like these threads after reading them because I think they're fairly civil. And when you have something like this where it's a free for all, if you sort the replies by like the best performing ones, meaning like the up votes minus the down votes, you will get a lot of replies that essentially summarize what people on the left and the right agree on, which I think is so important because every day we're on websites like, well, I'll just speak for myself. I'm on like Twitter and Instagram, and I mainly see a lot of leftist content and things from one side, and it feels good, but more and more in my own brain, I'm like, this is not healthy to be stuck in like a social media echo chamber like this. Yeah. But yeah, for this video, we're just going to go over two threads from the subreddit, just the very first time they did it, the following week after. And then I wanted to go over one example of where the left and the right spin news in different ways. And so I don't think anybody's really winning. And I think it's a bit of a distraction. It's on Trump in the Super Bowl. So let's get started with the first thread. The top reply says, we should do these every Friday, which I think just gives some credibility to the thread as like a place where you can see people say it's a nice read. They're surprised people want a lot of the same things. They realize that like the left and the right are really being pitted against each other, and we have a lot in common as a country, or as people in a country. The next top comment, I think, actually talks about some issues, right? Like the meat, the arguments. The first one says term limits for all, meaning, everybody who's elected to the presidency and the Congress, we should have limits. Presidents already have limits, but for Congress people, they don't. While researching for this video, I was like, some Congress people have been in office for more than 50 years, a really long time, which worries me because the longer they've been in office, the more I worry that they're out of touch with what the average American is feeling right now. And the classic examples also of when people have been in office for so long that they can't function as well mentally. Like I think about like Dianne Feinstein, on the Democrat side. We think about Mitch McConnell on the Republican side. She's not, or Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden, the presidency, all these articles about how his staff members were like hiding his decline from him. It's not good, right? Just I think as a broad American public, a lot of people like having some sort of limit or restriction on how long people can be in office. No specific details. I don't think that matters right now. It's just we all agree that there is an issue here. The second one is on getting money out of elections. So when we read the comments, we see, some people think that means like banning lobbying, right? There are a lot of lobbyists per congressperson. No stocks while you're in office, I think, is an obvious one because the left and the right both really don't like Nancy Pelosi and how she's had all these amazing returns while she's in office. A lot of Congress people are on these committees that are like overseeing these companies while also having stock in those companies. So it's like, yeah, if I do something that punishes a company, I might also buy stuff in the stock market that predicts that this company won't do as well. So I'm like controlling both sides. Then lastly, right, just stopping with all these really large donations to campaigns. Yeah, this comment I found funny. The right versus the right and left having open dialogue came to the popular conclusion of term limits and getting money out of politics. Somebody is going to shut this down soon. Enjoy it while it lasts. The last thing they want is us uniting against a common foe. Yeah, more replies on how good it is to see people agreeing on stuff. I'm going to minimize this now. Where is this? All right. The next most common one, I'm going to skip it because it's just on it's a person who's independent saying that they do have strong opinions that just, fall left or right depending on the issue. I didn't know how to minimize this. Afterwards, this one was interesting. I don't know as much about it, but it revolves around Mexican cartels and drugs. I think this might be a conservative person who, is worried about like the amount of opioid usage or fentanyl in America, something along those lines. Could be a good discussion point for people, but I would probably lean into the term limits and the money from elections first. After that, another comment on how this is actually a respectful political discussion. I think this is actually really important. A lot of people will, may glaze over, not glaze over it, may, skip it because they know automatically we should be polite. But just in practice, it's really hard. And this is coming from a top 1% commenter who also identifies as pro-life conservative. So even conservatives like it. I like this comment that was like, have you ever seen videos where it's two dogs acting like they're going to fight until the cage door separating them is opened? This is that. I might save that and just use it for the future when talking with people I disagree with. Yeah, more. This thread is awesome. Ready to get together and act like a family. We all want the same stuff: a good job, decent house, friends and family, children live better than lives than us. Yeah, I think these might sound cliche, but I think it's so important to always iterate like what we agree on when there's so much media framing us as not liking the other side or not having anything in common. And I think there's a reason why a lot of these things that are being upvoted and the best are just things emphasizing commonality. Yeah, this one was like the same thing. Just like money out of politics, stop government officials from profiting off power. And again, another post on we really let these talking heads from each side tear us apart on the basis of politics, and too many of us, me included, are deeply playing into this. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I have from the first week is just term limits. We don't like term limits. We don't like drugs and Mexican cartels, and we don't like having so much money in politics. Those are all three starting points you could use depending on who you're talking to. But above that, right, the number one biggest talking point is just the realization that talking heads and politicians are really pitting us against each other. We are like the two dogs in the cages who, when the cages are lifted, we actually don't fight each other. Above all the issues, I think that is like the main thing that should always be emphasized, and what I always tell myself more. We are just the two dogs who are supposed to fight who will not fight. And that is the first week of threads. I'm kind of just going to skip over the ones that are further down, past the top 10-ish. Cool. So, week number 2, same thing of left versus right battle royale open thread. And once again, if we sort based on best, we'll see like what both sides agree on. And if we look at week 2, surprise, surprise, we're not surprised. It's again on the role of money in government. I'll read the full thing. One thing we can all agree on, I think, is that Congress should not be allowed to trade stocks. Cough, Pelosi, cough. Yeah, so again, everyone knows Nancy Pelosi, whether you're a left or, on the right, this person's a fiscal conservative. People don't like Nancy Pelosi because of how much money she has made in government through stocks. Or launch rug pull meme coin scams. Cough, Trump, cough. Yeah, this one, I forgot how much it was, like 100 million or 200 million. Trump made a lot of money, or actually, I need to do more research on this, but somebody probably made a lot of money just from having the platform to host this coin. And, there's a bit of risk and gamble to this that should probably be kept out of politics. Not should be, probably, but it should be kept out of politics. Next person, as a moderate, I can confirm that allowing Congress to trade stocks is tantamount to insider trading. I agree. Many people agree. Good starting point. Next point, again, right? The thing that popped up last week about the dogs fighting is in a different form here. Left versus right is a distraction from up versus down. I think that's so crucial to just repeat over and over and over again. Like, left versus right is a distraction from up versus down. Talking about wealth disparity is so important. Talking about the shrinking middle class is so important to unify people. Another person praising the space, and this one was kind of long. I remember this one. This one was talking specifically about what Doge is cutting, right? I think they made some great arguments about specifically, again, around the CFPB, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, that was cut even though it makes a lot more investment for American citizens. I didn't know this, but this agency has a well-documented return on investment for American citizens of over 8-1. Is it as good as Nancy Pelosi's return on investment? Who knows? But it is pretty good. There were actually no conservative flair replies to this, which I thought was interesting. So I think one way to challenge conservatives or push them is not around the general idea of accountability, but it's just what is being cut. I would say from some experience, people may push back and just say, it's not going to be clean. It's going to be a bumpy road. They will make some mistakes, and you kind of go down that line of discussion. But I think just in general, kind of pushing back on the idea that everything that's being cut is not good, or that they're cutting well. I think that's a good area to challenge people. The next one was, again, around just the same idea of us being two dogs who are fighting against each other, and then we realize we're being played. I think the fact that there are so many comments around this, I think, speaks to how a growing number of people realizing it. And this is, I think, an idea that we just need to push more and more, in that we are meant to fight each other and not think about commonality, and it's more important for us to establish what we both like and agree on, which tends to focus around getting money out of politicians or politics because they're all becoming super rich. Yeah, and these are some of the top posts from the second week. Just, really strong themes again of people coming to a stronger realization that they're being played against each other, and just wanting to unite on not left versus right, but up versus down. I wanted to wrap this video with a topic that was portrayed by the left and the right in different ways, but I think is a distraction because it has no impact on us long term, which was around the Super Bowl and whether Trump was cheered or booed. So my own understanding is that the left thinks that Trump was booed a lot. He was booed so bad that the Super Bowl stadium sound engineers had to play fake audio of cheers to make it seem like people like Trump being there. And conservatives disagree, right? And this person has gone down a little bit of the rabbit hole with other leftists, who show clips that may or may not be credible. And I share this just to show it's like on the left, like when I was only reading my own Twitter or Instagram, It made me think that Trump was so heavily booed out there, and they had these edited clips, but everybody really didn't like him. But it's like on the right, there are a lot of people who don't think that, or who really dig deep into it and is like, oh, like these are all fake clips. That's not true. Whether it's true or not, I personally don't care enough, because I don't think it changes any of the larger structural issues like the money in politics or sure term limits, and I don't think it goes anywhere. That's just one small example, and I'm sure there will be many other examples where the left and the right will interpret it in different ways. No one knows the truth, I think, besides the people actually running the sound at the Super Bowl. Or I would say the people who really want to dig deep into the Trump Super Bowl conspiracy should try to find someone who actually ran sound at the actual Super Bowl event and then get them to state on the record whether it was true or not. It just doesn't matter that much. The left versus right battle royale threads are still ongoing. There was actually one that came out yesterday. I just wanted to give it more time before covering it, because usually, we all have lives, we're busy, we may not type stuff until a few days later. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Bye.